it's quite interesting because prior to getting diagnosed with everything, as a young woman with a history of mental health problems, everyone had presumed all of my symptoms were a psychiatric manifestation of distress. So when I had gone into nursing, I'd just come out of being bedbound for like maybe 6 or 7 months, and I didn't even know if I'd be well enough to go into the course. And I remember thinking, well, look, like, come on, this is in your head, you can push through. And so when I went into nursing, I obviously disclosed my mental health conditions, because you have to disclose everything for occupational health.
Yeah.
And because I'd been kind of what they consider stable mentally, I hadn't had hospitalizations in years or anything like that, that was the only barriers that I had to face at that moment. But then, because I was getting all these episodes of sort of fainting, vomiting, dizziness, all of that, I had to request no night shift placements and placements where I was able to be seated when needed. And I remember everyone being very accommodating and nice. And then I got really unwell and I had to defer a placement. And then suddenly, I think, in an environment that's meant to be providing care for people who are unwell, if one of your sort of own gets unwell, there's not that compassion extended. And I think that there was a lot of pressure from university staff to lie at my next occupational health meeting and be like, I'm absolutely fine. But I did that anyway, and I still failed it. So I think accommodations in that sort of field are not great. I know in certain medical professions, there are like one of my friends is a doctor who is paralyzed and a full-time wheelchair user, and it's amazing. But yeah, in a lot of fields, I don't think you get much support or sort of adjustments.
I just want to say thank you for coming on this podcast to talk about this kind of stuff, because I know that it's not necessarily always the easiest thing to talk about barriers to entry when you're talking about like what you thought your future was going to look like, because you're almost sometimes grieving the future that you thought you would have, and when it doesn't necessarily come to fruition, it can be a painful experience for anyone. So I want to say thank you for talking about this, because I know it's not particularly an easy topic to talk about.
No, I appreciate it, but I think luckily, because that was, I think, 2018 or 2019, that element I've probably been able to be a lot more detached from, and because nursing in a pandemic would have been horrific, selfishly. So
I can confirm working in healthcare during the pandemic was the worst decision of my life.
I can't imagine, honestly.
I did work in like adult social care for adults with learning disabilities during the pandemic. And whilst it's an incredible job and it's very, very rewarding, the pandemic was easily the worst couple of working years of I've ever had in my entire life. And there are so many like reasons for that. And it's, it's a whole other topic of conversation, but completely like working in health or social care during that time was not the one. So you didn't miss out, I'm telling you.
No, it sounds awful. I mean, anyone I've spoken to, I think a lot of people are not going to recover from their experiences.